Abingdon has always sat at a crossroads of commerce, of culture, of education, of ideas.
The animals, the bison, for example, would create trails. Indians would follow those trails to hunt the animals. They would follow those trails to do business with other Native American tribes on the north and the south side.
Abingdon was located on the Great Philadelphia Wagon Road, or it was called on early maps here just the Great Road, and that's really Main Street, Abingdon. The crossroads there at Main Street and Court Street, where the courthouse is, was sort of the hub center right there. It became a pretty prosperous place right away and culturally significant right away.
In the mid-18th century, Thomas Walker, a land speculator for the Crown, came to survey the land in this area all the way to the Cumberland Gap.
What's the use of having land out here for the Crown if there's nobody out there living there? You've got the French and Indians further west who are trying to come this way. You've got the Spanish wanting to come this way from the New Orleans area. And so you've got enemies on that west side. So to protect it, the best way to do that is to have some of your citizens living in this area and developing towns and farms and civilization.
Walker called the area Wolf Hills.
Now the story is, it was Daniel Boone in 1760 on a hunting party that named it Wolf Hills, but the evidence is that Thomas Walker's survey crew had called it the Wolf Hills originally. And so the surveying began, the roads were laid out, plots of land were sold and traded and sold and traded, and a courthouse was set up to register the land grants and to be able to settle disputes. It was first held at Black's Fort.
When these towns were settled, the people that were settling there, they couldn't bring anything with them, so they needed everything. And so that's how a big artisan community developed. And Abingdon, again, because of where it was and its prosperity, was drawing good, very good artisans early on.
In the 1770s, Charles Cummings was called upon to minister to the largely Scots-Irish population now settling in the area. He established the first church this far west.
All these Scots-Irish who were primarily Presbyterians were out here without a minister, and they needed somebody to pull them together and to establish a church.
Under English rule, a congregation could only meet in a church to practice Anglican beliefs, and the people were taxed to support the Anglican Church. This was a catalyst for the Fincastle Resolutions, named for Fincastle County, that encompassed present-day Southwest Virginia and Kentucky.
The Fincastle Resolutions were drafted by many of the freeholders, the landowners from this area. Charles Cummings was one of them.
The resolutions were the first declaration that men would be willing to lay down their lives for religious liberty.
The Revolutionary War, of course, started in the New England area. We know all about the Battle of Bunker Hill and the Lexington and Concord battles, Boston Tea Party and all that. But after the war started grinding on and on, the British decided they needed to look at the South approach, the southern colonies, to side with the king.
Patrick Ferguson, a fiery general in the King's Army, tried to recruit soldiers through threats, shock, and terror. The quickly rallying patriots had heard enough.
That was the last straw for a lot of the folks out here. They decided we're going to put a stop to it. So starting in Abingdon, this is the furthest north point of the Over Mountain Trail that leads all the way down to Kings Mountain. They assembled at the muster ground here in Abingdon. They had a total of 400 men who left from there, left their wives behind in September of 1780, and started this mission to join up with the others from Fort Watauga and elsewhere to go find Ferguson and take him to task.
2 weeks later, they encountered Ferguson at Kings Mountain, and in an hour and 5 minutes defeated a larger, better equipped army of British with all the screaming backwoodsmen. They surrendered. All 1,600. Ferguson himself was left hanging from the stirrup of his horse with 8 bullet holes in him. The Battle of Kings Mountain was a turning point. If 900 backwoods Virginia buckskins can defeat Ferguson and Britain's finest, recruiting became very difficult.
In the latter half of the 18th century, another of Abingdon's most prominent forefathers arrived.
William King was one of the prominent developers in this area. He was from Ireland. He came over here and learned about some of the salt mining activity that had been started on a very light scale up around Saltville. He perfected the art of mining that salt, that saline water, and then boiling it in kettles, and then being able to sell it and market it down the North Holston River all the way to what's now known as Kingsport.
At 15, King had a regular apprenticeship in Philadelphia and learned to be a merchant. King, along with his brother-in-law, Connolly Finley, acquired a large portion of property in the current historic district and established a number of businesses to accommodate travelers passing through on their way out west.
By 1803, was prosperous enough, and that's very early, to build this beautiful, elegant federal home in Abingdon. His house is right there. It stands there today with the date right above the front door, 1803. He had a store where he sold all kinds of things like velvet ribbons, silk, all sort of things that you would not expect in what would be called the back country.
King died young, only 39, but his legacy still lies rooted in Abingdon and our region.
Abingdon was a crossroads of economic activity. It was good for people moving around. It was good for people doing business.
The arrival of the railroad changed the migration habits of those passing through the crossroads, bringing more and more people to the town, leading to the growth and expansion and the Abingdon we recognize today, a place of commerce, culture, education, and ideas.
It's just a hub, and so I think that's its asset, is that we have things that are identified and they are stable and have persisted in all these years. Abingdon's practically perfect. I believe that.